So today I wanted to talk about the term opportunity cost. You may have heard that term. What is opportunity cost? Well, I think typically speaking, when used in the context of current big business in this country, opportunity cost simply means while this portion of money here is being tied up with an investment, they're not able to make money with that same money over here in this investment. So that's the opportunity cost in their eyes. But because there is not really an infinite amount of money in this system, there's a lot, but there's not an infinite. The simple reality is that everybody plays by the same rules. So we have this amount of money here to invest. We now have the right to choose how we wish to deploy or save or invest that money. So we have an investment over here and we have an investment over here. You and I would just say, okay, well, this investment over here looks safer, or it has a higher return, or it's just more, it has more advantages than the one that's over here on the far right, okay? You and I would look at that and say, well, okay, so we're going to deploy our money here because this one over here is not very good. Okay, that's good, but we would make that choice. We would move that money. But big business says, well, we've taken this money and now we've gotten it tied up over here. But now we're losing money because we don't also profit from this one. So in other words, they want to profit from both, from one pile of money. That's really what it boils down to. It kind of speaks to the greed of, I'm not going to blame capitalism itself, although this doesn't really happen probably in socialism as much, but we would acknowledge that we only have so many dollars that we can deploy to invest. We know we can't do both investments, but that's not the way big business sees it. They're like, well, we should be able to take this little tiny bit of money and make profit from everywhere. It's not the way it works. It's not realistic. It has nothing to do with reality. It borders just simply down to greed. So, can you imagine, let's say you were invited to a game of hockey, okay? You're playing in a game of hockey, but when you get there, you're disappointed that you don't have a ball to shoot into a hoop like you would with basketball. You don't enter a game thinking you're going to be playing by the rules of a different game. You played the game of hockey, you shoot the puck into the net. You're not bouncing the ball through the hoop. So, opportunity cost is a very polite way of saying we are greedy and we deserve all the profit even though we only have a little bit of money to invest in one thing. It's completely absurd. It's just ridiculous. So the whole concept of opportunity cost, every time you hear that phrase now, from now on, just think, instead of opportunity cost, you think, okay, they're just greedy. Because that's what it is. They're greedy. You often hear a business or of a business in which paying fines is considered the cost of doing business. I don't know what that's about. Sorry about that. I got an ambulance going by. Anyway, you will hear about the cost. The cost of doing business is paying fines, right? So it's cheaper for this company to pay the fine. Now we got a fire truck. Sorry about that. Like literally right behind me is the firehouse for the neighborhood. Anyway, so paying fines is cheaper than doing business correctly, right? So maybe, it's inordinately expensive for a company to dispose of its hazardous waste. So they just dump it in a local river because that's less expensive in terms of a fine, right? I feel like a lot of these businesses have gotten away with flagrantly violating the rules of our civilization because it's less expensive for them to pay the fine. My solution, which shouldn't be considered radical in the slightest, is, okay, let's keep the fines, but they should be, say, inordinately expensive to the point where it's more expensive than, say, following the rules is. But it's not enough to just do that. No, I think it's maybe time to start arresting the executives of these companies that operate in this manner, seizing their assets as well, putting their own families' safety and future prosperity in jeopardy because of the reckless actions of their executive, father or mother or whoever. So these big companies have lost their way because they expect to have all the profit and none of the risk. They treat fines as a cost of doing business. The executives are not at risk of being arrested and thrown in prison for the rest of their lives. And it's just gotten out of hand. And I feel like in a lot of ways, this is not the whole reason, but a pretty healthy reason for why we sort of lost our way here in this country. And it's sad. It shouldn't be this way. But I don't know. I just wanted to get that off my chest because it's the truth. Opportunity cost is a lie. It's another word for greed. Okay? And treating fines as a cost of doing business, that's also greed, right? It's really greed because they don't want to do things right. They just want to spend less money, right? But if you and I did that, oh, help me God. Boy, you'd be thrown in prison so fast, your head would spin probably, right? But no, not with these folks. They get away with it. They bribe their way through everything, they give donations to the elected officials. Now, with that being said, I just want you to stop and think about the lies that we're constantly told. What people believe to be self-evident truths are not necessarily self-evident. They may not even be truth. The unparalleled greed in this country, the lack of morals and wisdom. Anyway, I'm trying to avoid avoiding politics because unfortunately politics enables it, but you will not hear me siding with, well, this is why this party is right and this party is wrong, this political party or whatever. But the unfortunate truth is that everybody's to blame. So in any case, these folks don't have your best interest at heart. Ultimately, you need to look out for yourself and your own family, treating others right as much as you possibly can along the way. You're not obligated to save everybody. But anyway, with that being said, we are getting close to the end of the year. I feel like the chance for real hope and truth and prosperity is around the corner. And I hope to be along the ride with all of you, or along on the ride with all of you. But anyway, with that being said, I'm going to let you go for now, and I'm going to finish up my walk, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.